vicinity.
Well, perfect. We're going live. So speaking of alcoholic beverages in hand, right? Like, welcome, guys. We're here at WMAW 2017. I've got with me today Greg Medel, who you've put on this whole thing, right? Like, this is.
Yeah. So all right. So really, WMAW was it was conceived in 1999 by myself and two other people. Pete Kautz from Alliance Martial Arts in upstate New York, and Dwight McLemore from the School of Two Swords, both of whom are no longer active in the community. But why did I end up being the one to host it? Because Chicago had the most accessible airport.
Right.
So there was no other major reason for it other than I was the most easily reached. But yeah, basically this was in the days in which you could fit most practitioners into one party bus and drive it off a cliff together, and we were spread out across the world. And yeah, Pete suggested, we should really try to have some sort of cross-training convention. And that first event had, I think, 45 people. It was an international event because David Savett from Toronto showed up, thereby making it international.
Right, absolutely.
The first sponsor was Purple Heart Armory, which at that time, everything they made was made out of Purple Heart.
Right.
And yeah, and so now here we are, God help me, 18 years later.
Right, and so, okay, so enough people to fit in one party bus. How many people are here this weekend?
So that's a good question. I believe with instructors and staff, we're at 174 people, so we're no longer the largest event. We haven't been for a number of years now. Swordfish is bigger, Long Point's bigger, but we're at capacity for the site.
Right.
And every time we've talked about that, and people say, oh, you could fit more people. But I asked them, well, we'd have to move from where we hold the event into Coven, and everyone says, oh, no, okay, don't do that.
Yeah, no, as somebody here for the first time, like, this is an awesome site, right? Like, I'll put some video up later on for those of you guys who haven't seen it before, but, like, the setting couldn't be better. The only place I can think of that would be better is, I was mentioning to James that in Napa near us, there's a castle that they copied from a 14th century Italian castle and built, like, completely on
one of the wineries.
Right?
Yeah. Like Visa Tui did it.
Yeah. So that may be the only thing that would even kind of challenge it.
So let's just even like explain what's going on here. So we have how many halls? We have 3 or 4 halls.
So we have 3 main training areas. This whole campus, this is the oldest college built west of the Appalachians.
Okay.
So it's 150 years old this year, I believe, 1857. So 160 years old. It was an Anglican college. It is now a retreat center. So it's all built in neo-Gothic around a quadrangle on the lake. And so we have 3 training halls and then 2 lecture halls.
Right.
So there's 3 classes going on at any time. And the tracks I usually organized roughly as sort of medieval, early Renaissance, kind of late Renaissance, early modern, and then close quarter stuff, grappling, daggers, that sort of stuff, Bowie knives, whatever. So we try to make it so that if people, I'm the all-German longsword all the time person, you could just work your way straight through the schedule and never miss anything like that. If you're I'm the all-Renaissance person all the time, you still could kind of just go, okay, I need to plug into this track. And if you're I do German longsword all the time, I don't want to do it at all right now, I want to see what else people do, you could easily just kind of pick and choose your way through. So that's kind of the idea behind the event.
Right, absolutely. Cool. Yeah, and so we have some other of the instructors like Robert Rutherford. So people that will watch this channel have probably seen Robert's videos of all of the Meyer Rapier material. So while I have you here, one question or one request that was recently made, and I know you're not on Facebook, so you didn't see it. Talk during your videos was a request. Basically,
you don't want them to do that.
No, but the people that like seeing the stuff, but they want to be able to listen to your advice on what Meyer tells them to do while they can't actually watch the video. Like it was a question that was brought up this week of, I love Robert's video, but is there anything else, because he doesn't ever say anything.
Should we tell them the truth?
Sure.
Rob actually is a deaf mute.
Right.
So it's actually really kind of embarrassing for him. So you kind of really make him feel bad about himself bringing that up. So on behalf of Rob's family, please don't.
Yeah. No, it's true. But yeah, so we'll see what we can do to get Robert to do some other stuff. We've got James Riley from the Wisconsin Historical Fencers here. He's nice enough to put me up for the night.
Yeah, that's really the only reason I'm here right
yeah,
now.
pretty much, yeah. Well, and to drink the beer and you know,
Yeah.
really, you know, it's to balance out the room with the beards right now. Like, you guys can't see it. We have another Meyer Freifechter guy hanging out in the background, Adam, over there. There he is. Also impressive impressive beards on that side of the room, and on this side of the room, we're just kind of like...
Scrubby. Yeah.
So what's really neat is that when I got here, I got to the state in 2015, or well, rather, I got to the state in 2012, and I got involved with the Wisconsin guys pretty early on, but I didn't plug into the community mostly because I was military. So there's a weird dynamic there. Once I was getting out, I started connecting with everyone in a really hardcore way, and it was really cool because like immediately upon that we started to connect. And now there's a sort of a relationship where there really wasn't before between the Wisconsin Historical Fencing Association and you guys, what you already have going on, and then even more so like the Freifechter Guild that was already in the Midwest was already, you
right,
were connected.
Chris moved up to Madison.
Right.
Yeah, and actually James being here really does make sense because, I mean, you worked really hard to kind of create the whole idea of the Midwest League and kind of essentially everything that's scattered around the edge of Lake Michigan to kind of just get those groups interacting with each other, which, you know, WMAW, most of the instructors aren't even from the Midwest besides those who are from Chicago.
Right.
But so that's a whole nother thing now that's sort of dovetailed into that and been really nice. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really impressive. I was talking to Robert. I'm going to try and convince him to come join us out in Sacramento in February for an event and come out and teach class. And then we got Roger Norling and see if we can get Heath Cotter-Riley and try and get at least out in California, right? Like some of what's starting to happen here.
Yeah.
We have our local tournaments, but we don't have an opportunity to see a lot of instructors. If we do get an instructor out, it's, you know, for a seminar, and that's great. Like, you know, if you're doing all day, but that's a lot of work for one person, and, you know, no opportunity to have a beer, like,
yeah,
watch somebody else's class.
I know, you know, part of what makes this event very different from a lot of them is that there are no tournaments.
Right.
And a number of instructor friends of mine who've been at the big events, like, yeah, it's kind of weird because I mean they were nice enough to fly me out, but there were like 10 people in my class, and I don't think that's a diss on the event. I just think it's very hard sometimes if there's going to be an event that's billed as specifically being about the tournaments,
right,
and you're going to have 7 of them or 9 or whatever it's going to be,
right,
it is very hard for a lot of people to move back and forth in that, and so kind of now this sort of thing exists as a counterpoint to that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it does. I don't know that that's going to hold forever because I think more people are kind of getting on board with the idea that maybe there needs to be something else.
Right.
So there always has been here.
Right.
The template's already been laid, and I think that more people are going to, after seeing the way that the tournament scene is developing,
right,
I think more people are going to kind of get on board with the idea that maybe we just need an event where people can hang out and share ideas and not worry about the competition.
Right, especially for the people that are not competitive minded, right? They want to learn the art, they want to get together, but they don't want all of the associated, you know, drama that can come with the tournament scene.
Right, but also for the people that are competitive minded that sometimes need a break from that.
Also true, yeah. Well, right, like so Jan and Stacy, right? Like you guys know Jan and Stacy from right? So they show up at all our events out in California. They come out here. I know they're going to come to my tournament. I know that they're going to come to, you know, any events that we have. But then there are a bunch of people that I see when I go to another school that never come to a tournament because that's not their thing. But if they would love to take a class, they'd love to, you know, meet somebody that they've watched, you know, teach their particular favorite, you know, Meyer Rapier, and suddenly be like, oh, cool, I can, you know, see him, maybe get to shake his hand. One of my guys really wants to fence you. Like he wants to get destroyed by you. He loves watching you fight, and he thinks it's so pretty, and so like he would love to get beaten up. Basically, he's gonna be mad that I said that because that's not how he framed it, but Dimitri. But that's, you know, that's how it is.
So it's okay. That's how everybody at this event is about Tom Pui. They say everyone just wants to fence him so they can feel good about being humiliated.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, and it's good. I'll go get my humiliation in before the weekend's over too, and it's.
So how did you have? I mean, so it wasn't necessarily your brainchild. You ended up taking it on, but where did like the impetus come from?
Okay, so you have to remember that I'm ancient, and I started doing this back in college in the early '90s. I started dialoguing with people like John Clements in the mid-1990s. So by '99, there was a small nascent community scattered across the planet. And Pete Couts, who actually is the person who also coined the term WMA, Western Martial Arts, which this was something that I actually got asked recently because I was told by someone, that's a really stupid term. I mean, HEMA means something that doesn't. So, soapbox moment. Actually, HEMA doesn't mean anything either, people.
Good job.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
co-sign that.
In fact, right. So let me just walk everybody through that. Western martial arts of the Western world and its culture. Historical European martial arts, theoretically, reconstructed martial arts from Europe's early modern through whatever era. I suppose if you're doing Egyptian wrestling, that fits too, right? Traditional European martial arts, things like savate, Italian knife fighting, folk wrestling, martial arts that don't need our approval, they already exist.
Right.
All of those things fall under Western martial arts. So that's how, for example, we have someone here this year doing, African traditions. Africa is tied to Western culture.
Absolutely.
Sometimes not by their choice.
Right.
And but absolutely are. We've had things on like Venezuelan machete fighting. That's not HEMA, but it is WMA. So at this time, it was a much younger community and much fewer people. Pete kind of picked that intentionally, kind of riffing off of FMA, Filipino martial arts, or JMA, Japanese martial arts, to kind of create a broad umbrella. And it really was just the idea that, there's nothing more lonely than knowing that there's all this cool stuff and not having anybody to play with. So there was really nothing bigger than that. I went and rented a hall at a convention center with no idea what I was doing. The Chicago Swordplay Guild was not legally incorporated at the time, so I just did that on my credit card and my dime. I took a bath. I think I lost $500, which was how we ended up with a permanent staff that runs this event, and why I do the scheduling and not the money.
Right.
Yeah, it just evolved from there. And our original idea was that this event would rotate. Different groups would have it. And we went once through a rotation of 3 schools, we, Emma, and the Martinez Academy. The Martinez Academy had the bad luck of being in New York in 2001 when they hosted the event. So that was its own problems.
Wait, so just to be clear, like, this weekend has always been the weekend traditionally? So
It was originally in mid-October.
Okay.
So they were 1 month after 9/11, and they held the event in Manhattan anyway. Yep. They decided to push on and hold the event. That was rough, and kudos to them for seeing it through. But anyway, it became really hard with other hosts to kind of figure out what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it. And so after the second time through that rotation, we just decided that it would just stay here, and we would just do it every other year. So that's kind of how it came to be as you guys know it. So.
I think that every other year thing, especially for me at least, right? Like I missed the last one. I couldn't make it out. People had told me, oh, you need to come out. This is great. I can't make it. And then, oh, it's not for 2 years. So I've basically been waiting for the last 2 years for it to roll around. And to the point when tickets went on sale, it was like, stop what I'm doing. Quick, get on, buy it, and already, it's sold out.
It's a little embarrassing because people are like, oh yeah, I set up like an app to go and fire off so it would automatically register me. And I'm sorry, everybody. I get like really, I get either very disappointed or very angry nasty grams on Facebook every year when the event launches. I'm sorry, it's just the amount of space we have. I will say this, for people who are interested in coming and they hear, oh my God, it's 6 hours and it's sold out, go on the waiting list. The truth is, there has never been a year where everyone who was on the waiting list didn't get a chance to come.
Right.
Where other people didn't drop out, cancel. Now, it might be it's 10 days out and you're like, I can't get a flight.
But you had a chance.
But you did have a chance. So get on the waiting lists and you do get a chance. So it's not quite as awful as it sounds.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a good problem to have, right? Like, God forbid we hold these kind of events and then 20 people sign up and you're like, oh crap, we've contracted to use this space, and I can't imagine that it's an inexpensive space to use. So it's a good problem.
It's about a $50,000 event to put on.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I get excited because I'm like, for the event for pulling out for you, like if I rent the whole building, it's $5,000 for the day kind of thing. So, that's nice order of magnitude difference of event. But guys, trust me, for $50,000, right? Like space is pretty damn nice.
So I gotta say, I think really like the takeaway, one of the major takeaways, and we're probably getting to where we're gonna roll on this, but like is like you've set up, or between you and your counterparts, and then it became you, and then it became you and your staff. But you have definitely set up a winning formula for like an event that works and that offers something different, unique, but also really, really invaluable.
Well, thank you. I really, and it is my staff.
Right.
You know, I do the scheduling, I do the invites, and that's the fun part. But we have a really big staff that makes this thing run. And I think that really is part of it. And they've been the same kind of family of people doing it for a lot of years now. And that's part of what helps too. So.
Excellent. All right, yeah, so that's probably a good place. We've been going for about 20 minutes, and there's food, there's beer, there's chit-chats, there's, I think there's a presentation going on right now.
We're
gonna get Rob home.
This is a deaf, mute.
Oh, right, yeah, absolutely. We gotta get him home. So next week, guys, we'll be back in Sacramento. We'll do our usual video on technique, and we'll take questions and answers there. As always, like and subscribe. Post any questions you had in the comments, and we'll get to them. But thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.